Hello everybody, Geraldine Rose here doing the Canadian and the Crafty Manners thing, extending a thank you to someone that was really nice to me. I think I'm a bit odd in the crafting world because I like doing thank you and thinking of you notes more than happy birthday and then throwing in Halloween and Christmas cards after that. Anyway, here we are. We're starting out with some Desert Storm cardstock. 3 times I ran the Altenew linear crossroads die cut through on that. You can see I'm using the We Are Memory Makers. It's a die pick and a brush at the same time to kind of push through all the scrap pieces so that you can get those out of the die cut itself. Here I'm checking to see which is the smooth side, and I believe that was the hammer mill paper that I was using. Putting my foil down. That was the Spellbinders woven hot foil plate, which I've situated off to the one side of the cardstock. I'm struggling a wee bit here to get the plate detached because I got stung by a bee last weekend and I am allergic, but it is getting better. This is pretty much real time. This is how slow that you need to run these glimmer plates through, because the pressure is what actually helps to seal the foil onto the paper as well as the heat from the glimmer machine. I kept saying for about a year I wasn't getting one of these glimmer machines. I'm really glad I did. You can use the hot foil and the better press plates for it. And look at that. It's another of the gateway drugs, the peel and reveal on the foil. Here I'm misting the back of my card panel so I don't mess the foil up, but so that I can run it through the embossing folder. And you can see I'm checking which side there's the one that I want to have up. That was the honeybee burlap folder, and I'm situating it so that of course everything's straight before I run it through on my big shot. And on to the next piece. So here is where I have the Spellbinders Buy Me Craft Supplies hot foil, and I have situated that on the inside of my card. I've made a hinge, so I'm going to flap that part up. I'm going to put some rainbow glimmer foil underneath it. Going to flap the top back down, and then I'm going to tape it into spot, because this one I don't want moving because I'm not going to actually cut this out. This is actually going to be the sentiment on the inside of the card. So we're cutting off the excess down at the bottom there. You can see that I'm coming in with the tape right now, this low tack one. And of course, just be really careful when you're flipping it over onto your glimmer plate once you get everything taped down. I'm hanging the back of the card out there because I will be running that, of course, through my big shot. And you can see there I'm feeling which side the glue is, because there is a glue residue from the heat from the glimmer machine. Just using my glue eraser to get rid of that. This is where I have laid down the thank you out of the Spellbinders Essential Sentiments. And I've put the rainbow foil on an angle, a little bit of an angle this time, because I want it to be a surprise for the rainbow inside, but I still wanted kind of the theme to carry through to the front. And we're pushing that button to get the timer going. It takes about 30 seconds on this. And you want to lay the green plate down first and then the clear one. This is after I've run it through. I've let it cool down a little bit so that I can peel back the foil to see how I actually took. And I got a pretty good impression there. Here, we're cutting it down with some of the waffle flowers and nesting dies. I'm going to have to do it, of course, twice because I don't have like a thin enough, just rectangular one to get it all in one go. And excuse my hair there. I had just had a shower and it flipped over and it's really long. It's down to my butt. So it was kind of like, okay, just don't tape hair in there and then run yourself through the big shot. Here's another pro tip from Jennifer McGuire. So if you don't want to use foam strips or the foam squares, just layer up strips of the old spare cardstock underneath it, which is what I did below the sentiment. If you put a heavy acrylic block on it, it'll help to keep all of those layers flat while the glue is drying. So here I'm getting the brilliant idea that, look, I've got a rustic burlap. I've embossed it. I've foiled it. You know, it's a rough material that you're dealing with. So I went all the way around the outside edge and I tore those edges so that it would blend to that idea. I also used the leftover foil with one of my solid plates to get the reverse of that pattern in the background, and I tucked it in behind the thank you sentiment, repeat the unity. In the back of my mind, I'm remembering, yeah, Picket Fence had a crafty mail sentiment that would be perfect just kind of tuck in at the bottom of this as long as I masked off a portion, which you can see I'm doing there. I ripped up the masking tape so that I could stamp it. And this is because the lady this is going to, she watches the Crafty garage sales too. So panel for the front's not done yet, but the inside of the card basically is. So I'm putting my custom stamp on the back. Back to the front panel. Got out my spray box, got out the spray glue. Make certain you do this in a well-ventilated area. Sprayed the backs of those because they're so fine, these little linear die cuts. And now I'm setting them down into place. I did go back in later with a little bit of glue just to kind of get the little lines that were around the outside edges. And I'm using the patented squash technique there to make certain everything is set down into spot. See, again, squashing. Of course, we have to have the sound effects when we're doing this. Apparently, we have to squash it many times. Here, I've wrapped a little bit of blue and white twine around it. I'm not really one for bows, so I like just taping off the backs of it and hiding it. Again, using the Jennifer Maguire trick with some spare cardstock to bone that panel up a little bit. And you got to do it on either side of the twine if you've got twine on the back. So you can see I'm using my acrylic box here, pressure on either side of that twine because of course there is a break there. Now, this was just a garage sale die cut that I got, so I don't even know where it's from, but it's cute because it's hollyhocks. Simon Says Stamp sent out a really neat piece of this metallic rainbow cardstock, which is what I'm using here to do an ombre effect across it, and then I offset it again to get another ombre, but with just a couple more tones added in of color. The problem with this die cut though is it cuts out all the centers of the hollyhock, and if you want to inset the little pieces that came out, you have to go in on the back and either use paper. Here I'm using masking tape actually, and I cut down all those little pieces, put them on the back so that when I would put the center pieces back in, that they would have something to actually adhere to. Because I had two each of those, I flipped the center pieces from the one color over to the other color so that they would have different coloring centers on them, just to add a little bit more interest. Still piecing them in. If you like puzzles, it's fun to do. It's like paper piecing, of course it is. Oh my gosh, la 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 la. I didn't realize that I actually spent so much time putting all those little things into the centers. I guess when you're doing a puzzle, right, you get caught up in it. Oh, done. Okay, they do look pretty though. So putting glue onto the back of them and arranging them on the front of the panel. I had some behind the twine and some in front of the twine. And I set the one, like the purple tones in the back, and then it was the turquoisey ones in the front to kind of bring them more to the forefront and create a little bit of depth in there. Oh, we're back to squashing again, everybody. And probably have some glue on the back there so that we can wiggle this panel around and set it into place. And the beautiful thing about having a ripped edge is that you don't have to worry about lining it up straight because it doesn't have straight edges, even though it has many straight components on it with all of the burlap elements and the stems from the hollyhock. I had some of the little blossoms that also were die cut out. So now that everything's kind of in a spot, I'm putting them in highlighting. And just like that one Van Gogh one, I had to have one special pink hollyhock right there in the middle as a focal point. Excuse the hair, by the way. Got out my 6-inch T ruler to make certain that that thank you sentiment very much was actually set on straight. Lining it up on either side, glued it down. Yeah, and it wouldn't be a me card unless you had some bling 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 on it. So we have the pink fresh ombre, the Simon Says stamp, and this calls for confetti discs on there, getting them all set into place. For those wondering about this thing, yep, it got much better since last weekend over the 4 nights I worked on this card. And you can see these are old pictures from the last time I got stung in 2019, how much I actually swell from the bee stings, and I have to mark them. I get really red too, which is why, like, I've always got my medication on me, so don't worry about that, guys. And I actually got off pretty easy this time, so it's pretty good. So I decided here that I'm going to put some more spritz on this thing, and I got out the Twisted Citron, the Peacock Feathers, and the Wilted Violet, and I put them in the corners where each of those colors was situated on the card, masked off the rest of it, and I finally finished. I'm going to send this off to someone I appreciate what they did for me, and you guys as well. Go out, be that change you want to see in the world, have some fun, and we'll see y'all next time, okay? All right, thanks everybody. Bye-bye.